What if the path to God is not about becoming something new, but remembering what your soul has always known? There is a subtle call hidden in Surah Al-Baqarah 135 to 137, a call that does not shout, but gently pulls the heart inward. It speaks to identity, truth, and surrender, not in a rigid external sense, but in a deeply transformative, inward awakening. Verse 135. And they say, be Jews or Christians, so you will be guided. At the surface, this reflects a historical dialogue, but inwardly it reveals something timeless about the human condition, the tendency to confine truth within labels. The Sufi lens invites us to look deeper. This is not merely about religious identity, but about the ego's desire to define, to categorize, to feel secure through belonging to a form. The verse whispers, guidance is not owned by labels. It is easy for the soul to become attached to identities, names, traditions, even spiritual paths, until they become veils instead of windows. The danger is not in belonging, but in believing that belonging alone is enough. True guidance is not inherited, it is realized. Say, rather, the religion of Ibrahim, inclining toward truth. Here the Quran redirects the seeker, not toward a label, but toward a state of being. The way of Ibrahim, peace be upon him, is not merely a historical path, it is an inner posture, a turning away from illusion and a turning toward the real. Inclining toward truth, this is the heart that refuses to bow to anything but Allah. This is the moment when the seeker begins to detach from false dependencies, approval of people, attachment to forms, reliance on anything that is not eternal. It is a silent revolution within the soul. Ibrahim did not just reject idols made of stone, he shattered the unseen idols within: fear, doubt, attachment, ego. And this is where the verse becomes personal. The question arises, what idols still live inside us? Because guidance begins the moment those idols begin to fall. And he was not of mushrikeen, those who associate partners with Allah. This is not only about outward shirk, it is also about subtle shirk of the heart. Sufis often speak of hidden association. Trusting means more than the creator of means. Seeking validation more than divine acceptance. Fearing creation more than the creator. These are not accusations, they are mirrors. The verse gently invites the seeker to purify intention, to refine reliance, to become inwardly aligned with Tawheed, not just in belief, but in experience. To reach a state where the heart quietly says, nothing has power over me except you. And in that surrender, a strange peace emerges. Say, we believe in Allah and what has been revealed to us. Notice the language, we believe. This is not an isolated journey. It is a continuity, a sacred chain of revelation, connecting hearts across time. The Sufi perspective sees this as unity of divine message, not division. All prophets brought the same light, though in different lamps. To believe in all revelations is to recognize that truth is not fragmented, it is one. This dissolves arrogance. Because when the heart sees unity in divine guidance, it no longer competes, it receives. It no longer argues, it submits. And submission here is not defeat, it is alignment. Like a river finally flowing in the direction it was meant to. And we make no distinction between any of them. This phrase is profound. It dismantles spiritual elitism. In the inner path, making no distinction means honoring the divine origin of all prophetic guidance. It is an invitation to humility, to recognize that truth is not confined to one narrative or one moment. For the seeker, this becomes a purification of the heart from judgment and pride. Because often, the greatest barrier between the soul and Allah is not ignorance, but arrogance disguised as certainty. When distinctions fade, the heart softens. And when the heart softens, it becomes receptive. And we are Muslims in submission to Him. Here lies the essence. Islam, in its deepest sense, is not just a name, it is a state where the soul stops resisting reality, where it no longer asks, "Why is this happening to me?" but instead whispers, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" Submission is not passive, it is deeply active. It is trusting while striving, surrendering while walking, letting go while holding firmly to faith. And in this paradox, the soul finds balance. Verse 137. So if they believe in the same as you believe in, then they are rightly guided. Guidance is not about imitation. It is about alignment with truth. The verse subtly shifts focus from outward conformity to inward sincerity. It is not about who you resemble. It is about what your heart carries. Because two people can perform the same act, yet one is empty and the other is full of light. Sufis emphasize ikhlas, purity of intention, because Allah does not look at forms, He looks at hearts. And the heart that is aligned with truth, even if imperfect, is closer than the one that is outwardly perfect but inwardly distant. But if they turn away, then they are only in dissension. Turning away is not always rebellion, it is often distraction. The soul becomes occupied with the temporary, forgetting the eternal. This dissension can also be internal, conflict between desire and truth, noise drowning out inner clarity, restlessness without knowing why. And perhaps this is the quiet pain many carry today, a disconnection they cannot name, a longing they cannot fulfill. This verse gently explains, the further the heart moves from truth, the more fragmented it feels, because it was created for unity with Allah. So Allah will suffice you against them. What a powerful reassurance. For the one walking this path, there will be resistance, externally and internally, but the promise is clear. Allah is enough, not partially, not sometimes, completely. When this truth settles in the heart, fear begins to dissolve, because the seeker realizes no rejection can harm what Allah protects. No plan can succeed against His will. No loss is truly a loss if it brings you closer to Him. This is not just belief, it is certainty, and certainty brings a calm that the world cannot shake. And He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. Nothing is missed, not your silent prayers, not your hidden tears, not your internal struggles. Even the battles you never speak about are known. This realization creates intimacy, because the seeker no longer feels unseen. And in that awareness, worship transforms from duty to connection, from obligation to longing. Now pause for a moment. What if these verses are not just describing others, but reflecting you? Where do you still seek identity instead of truth? What inner idols still need to fall? Is your submission external or deeply internal? Because the journey these verses call toward is not distant. It begins now. If this reflection stirred something within you, don't ignore it. That subtle feeling, that pull, that quiet awakening, it is not random. It is an invitation. Return to the verses, sit with them, reflect slowly. And if you want more deeply contemplative, soul-awakening interpretations like this, ones that don't just inform your mind but transform your heart, then stay connected. Because sometimes one verse, truly understood, can change the entire direction of your life.